Hi, this is Craig Stocks, and this is my photo critique of the day. Today's image was submitted by Scott Meekum. So Scott, thank you so much for sharing this wonderful image with us. As you can tell, this image shows a train station at night in the fog. That it looks like it says Princeton on the top of the train station, so I'm guessing this may be in Scott's hometown. But wonderful scene. The fog really adds a lot of ambience and glow around the lights. It also, I'm not sure if it's the fog and condensation or if it had been raining, but the walkway here looks like it's a stamped concrete, but arranged like cobblestones. Because it's wet, it's reflecting, and that creates a lot of wonderful texture. We've got all these wonderful leading lines from the train, the lights, the railing here, and the walkway all leading off into the image. The train, it looks like it is moving. I'm guessing it's moving slowly, and this is a fairly long shutter speed, long exposure, but just a wonderful amount of blur with the lights streaking along, and you can just kind of make out reflections along the blurred side of the train. This image kind of jumped out at me and struck me when I first saw it, and the more I look at it, the more I like about it. I really think it's got a lot of great things going for it. There's just a couple things that I would comment on that you might consider. The first one, as I do my border patrol, looking around the edges of the frame, this light that's right on the edge of the frame grabs my attention maybe more than it should. So one consideration might be to crop it a little bit from this side, just to take that light out. If you don't want to crop it, you could also clone it out pretty easily. That also moves the walkway a little bit more off center, and that's something that I've kind of struggled with. It wasn't quite centered to start with, and generally I tend to fall in the category that if something is going to be centered, it should be dead center. If it's not centered, it should be off center. And I think this moves it off center enough that it feels a little bit more balanced to me. The other thing, I really wish in a perfect world, I wish these cars hadn't been there. They have a lot of reflections that create highlights and texture that are pulling away from what I think is the main subject and the overall feel of the image. So, if you ever have an opportunity to go back and photograph this without those cars there, I think that would be a great image. It would be very difficult, I think, to try to remove them in Photoshop. You could go in with local adjustments and reduce the contrast here by pulling down the whites and the highlights and maybe boosting the shadows and reducing the contrast so that the cars become less noticeable and this becomes more of a uniform area. The other thing you could do is use a local adjustment and just draw highlights right along the upper and lower rail of the fence, and maybe even lighten up the fence just a little bit. And same thing over on this side, just to even accentuate a little bit more all those leading lines that lead us into the image. But overall, I think you've got a great image here, Scott, and thank you so much for sharing it with us. And as always, I wish everybody to have a great day.